When it comes to intimacy, most men make the mistake of viewing it purely as a physical act. They think it begins with touch and ends with desire fulfilled. But for a woman, intimacy is not simply about physical closeness. It is deeply rooted in emotions, trust, and connection. If you want to ask a woman for intimacy without making her feel pressured, you must first understand this fundamental truth. Intimacy starts in her mind and heart long before it ever reaches the body. For many women, the decision to be intimate is heavily tied to how safe, valued, and respected they feel in the relationship. This is why you can't just expect her to switch on her feelings in the moment. If there are unresolved issues, lingering doubts, or a lack of emotional connection, she will naturally hesitate. It's not about rejecting you as a person. It's about her needing the right emotional environment to feel comfortable enough to let go. Think of intimacy like a house. The physical act is the roof, but the emotional foundation is what holds everything up. Without a strong foundation of trust and emotional safety, that house will collapse the moment you try to build on it. This is why so many relationships struggle. Men try to build the roof before laying the foundation. To truly connect with a woman on this level, you must first focus on building trust. Trust isn't built through grand gestures or constant compliments. It's built through consistency, honesty, and reliability. When she sees that you do what you say you'll do, that you show up for her emotionally, you don't judge her for her feelings. She begins to feel safety is everything for a woman when it comes to intimacy. If she feels even a hint of judgment, pressure, or selfishness, she will instinctively shut down. This is a natural protective mechanism. It's not about withholding love or punishing you. It's about her protecting her emotional well-being. Many men misunderstand this reaction and take it personally. They think, she doesn't love me, or she doesn't find me attractive anymore. But in most cases, it's not about attraction or love at all. It's about how secure she feels in your presence. If you can create a space where she feels safe and cherished, she will naturally want to be close to you without you ever needing to push for it. Another key part of this emotional foundation is empathy. Empathy means being able to understand her perspective even when you don't agree with it. It means listening to her concerns and validating her feelings instead of dismissing them or trying to fix them immediately. When a woman feels truly heard, something powerful happens. She relaxes. Her guard comes down. She begins to see you as someone she can open up to fully, not just emotionally, but physically as well. This is what creates the deep bond that leads to natural, unforced intimacy. For example, if she's had a stressful day at work, and you simply try to push for intimacy without acknowledging her stress, she'll feel unseen and disconnected. But if you take the time to listen, to hold her, to let her express herself freely without rushing her, she will feel understood. And that understanding builds desire far more effectively than any physical move you could make. It's also important to recognize that intimacy means different things at different times for a woman. Sometimes intimacy may be about deep conversation or simply holding hands. Other times it might be about physical closeness. If you only see intimacy as sex, you miss out on the many ways a relationship can grow and strengthen. When you broaden your understanding of intimacy, you stop making it about what you get and start making it about what you share. This shift changes everything. Instead of approaching her with the mindset of, how can I get her to be intimate with me? You begin to think, how can we create a deeper connection together? At the heart of it, asking a woman for intimacy without pressure is not about using the perfect words or following a script. It's about cultivating an emotional environment where intimacy happens naturally. When she feels deeply connected to you, she will want to express that connection physically, not out of obligation, but out of genuine desire. Your role is to nurture that emotional foundation every single day through trust, empathy, and presence. You create a space where she feels safe to be vulnerable. And when a woman feels safe in your arms, Intimacy stops being something you have to ask for and becomes something she wants to share with you freely. Intimacy is never just about physical closeness, it's about emotional safety. A woman cannot truly open up to you if she feels judged, rushed, or unsure about where she stands. The reality is, for many women, intimacy is one of the most vulnerable things they can offer. It requires trust, openness, and a deep sense of security. If she feels even a hint of discomfort, she will naturally put up walls, and no amount of charm, persuasion, or persistence will break them down. Your role is not to force those walls to fall, but to create an environment where she feels safe enough to take them down herself. This is the essence of asking for intimacy without pressure. You don't just focus on the moment you ask. You focus on the space you've built leading up to that moment. Safety begins with emotional security for a woman. Safety is more than just knowing she's physically protected. It's about whether she feels emotionally secure in your presence. Does she believe that you genuinely care about her feelings, her boundaries, and her comfort? Or does she feel like your desire for intimacy is purely about satisfying yourself? If she feels like she's just an object of desire, she will instinctively shut down. But if she knows you truly value her, not just her body, but her mind and soul, she will feel free to be vulnerable with you. This is why emotional connection and physical connection are so deeply intertwined. Emotional safety comes from small, consistent actions over time. It's in the way you listen to her without interrupting. It's in how you respond to her emotions, especially when she's upset or uncertain. It's in whether she feels like you can handle her no without pouting, getting angry, or withdrawing love. When a woman senses that you can handle rejection gracefully, she relaxes because she knows she won't be punished for setting boundaries. This is one of the most powerful ways to build a foundation for intimacy without pressure. Respecting boundaries builds trust. One of the fastest ways to destroy emotional safety is to ignore or push past a woman's boundaries. Every woman has a personal pace and comfort level when it comes to intimacy. If you rush her or make her feel guilty for not being ready, you erode trust, and once trust is gone, intimacy becomes nearly impossible. Instead, respect her boundaries fully and sincerely. If she says, "I'm not ready," your response should not just be acceptance. It should be understanding. This doesn't mean you never express your feelings or desires, but it does mean you create a space where she feels safe to be honest without fear of upsetting you. Ironically, the more you respect her boundaries, the more likely she is to lower them on her own terms. Why? Because when she sees that you're patient, she realizes that your connection isn't conditional. She understands that you value her for more than just what she can give you physically. And that realization deepens her trust and desire for you. The role of patience and presence. Many men unknowingly create pressure by being too focused on the outcome. If you spend time together but constantly seem fixated on when intimacy will happen, she will feel it. Even if you don't say it out loud, that unspoken expectation can make her feel rushed and stressed, which kills genuine desire. Instead, shift your focus to being fully present with her. When you're together, focus on enjoying the moment rather than obsessing over what comes next. Make her laugh. Listen deeply. Be affectionate in ways that don't demand more. When you hold her hand, let it be about connection, not escalation. When you take intimacy off a strict timeline, she feels free instead of pressured. This freedom often creates a paradox. When a woman feels like she doesn't have to be intimate, her desire often grows naturally because she feels in control of her choices. Creating comfort through environment. The physical environment also plays a role in building safety and comfort. Is the space where you spend time together welcoming, private, and calm? Or does it feel chaotic, rushed, or unsafe? Simple things like lighting, cleanliness, and privacy can influence how relaxed she feels. If you invite her over and the atmosphere feels cozy, warm, respectful of her boundaries, she'll naturally feel more at ease. If the environment feels like you're pushing her toward a goal, she'll be on guard. The goal is not to set the scene, to manipulate her. It's to create a space where she feels comfortable being herself. Why safety leads to desire. When a woman feels safe and cherished, she naturally becomes more open to deeper levels of intimacy. Desire cannot grow in an environment of fear or uncertainty, but when she knows she won't be judged, rushed, or pressured, she begins to associate closeness with comfort rather than anxiety. This is why building safety and comfort is not just a step toward intimacy. It is intimacy. The very act of making her feel seen, heard, and respected is one of the most powerful forms of closeness you can create. By focusing on emotional security, respecting boundaries, fostering an environment of comfort, you transform intimacy from something you ask for into something that happens naturally and willingly. When she feels truly safe, you won't need to persuade or push. She will come toward you freely, not because she feels obligated, but because she genuinely wants to share that part of herself with you. One of the biggest challenges in relationships is that people often assume their partner knows what they're thinking or feeling. When it comes to intimacy, this problem becomes even more complicated. Many men either avoid the topic completely out of fear of rejection or try to hint at what they want, hoping she'll just get it. But here's the truth. When you rely on hints, assumptions, or vague signals, you create confusion and tension instead of connection. If you truly want to ask a woman for intimacy without pressure, you must learn to communicate clearly and respectfully. Women deeply appreciate a man who can express himself openly, honestly, and without manipulation. When you use clear communication, you remove uncertainty and build trust, which makes intimacy feel safe rather than forced. Why clarity matters. When you don't communicate clearly, you unintentionally create pressure through confusion. Imagine this. You're spending time together and you start dropping subtle hints about wanting to be physically closer. You might touch her a bit more, make certain jokes, or try to escalate things slowly without actually talking about it. To you, it feels like you're being careful or romantic. To her, it might feel like she's being pushed into something without her full consent. She doesn't know what you're really thinking or what you expect. This lack of clarity creates anxiety, and when a woman feels anxious or unsure, she will instinctively pull away to protect herself. Clear communication eliminates this problem. When you express your feelings and desires openly, she doesn't have to guess. She knows exactly where you stand, and more importantly, she knows she has a choice. This sense of choice is what makes intimacy mutual rather than pressured. How to communicate respectfully. Respectful communication begins with intentions. Before you say anything, check your mindset. Are you asking because you want to share a deeper connection with her? Or are you asking because you feel entitled to something? Your tone, words, body language will all reflect your underlying intentions. If you come from a place of love and care, she will feel it. If you come from a place of neediness or selfishness, she will feel that too. When you're ready to talk, keep your words simple, direct, and kind. For example, you might say, I feel really close to you, and I'd like to take things to a more intimate level, but only if you feel the same way. I want us to share more physically, but I also want to make sure you're comfortable and ready. These statements are clear because they express both your desire and your respect for her boundaries. You're not pushing her, you're inviting her. The power of active listening, communication is not just about what you say, it's also about how you listen. When she responds, truly listen to her words and the emotions behind them. If she says she's not ready, don't immediately try to convince her or change her mind. Instead, acknowledge her feelings. I understand. Thank you for telling me how you feel. I respect that. And I want us to go at a pace that's right for you. This type of response shows maturity and builds trust. When she feels heard and validated, She's more likely to open up emotionally and eventually physically. Ignoring her feelings, on the other hand, makes her feel like you only care about your needs, which destroys intimacy. Avoiding manipulative language, sometimes without realizing it, men use language that subtly pressures a woman into saying yes. Statements like, "If you really loved me, you'd do this. We've been together for months. Isn't it time?" Other couples don't wait this long. These kinds of words are manipulative and deeply damaging. They make her feel cornered and resentful. Even if she gives in, the intimacy won't feel genuine, and it will weaken the relationship over time. True intimacy comes from freely given consent, not from guilt or obligation. When you remove all forms of pressure, you create an environment where she can say yes because she wants to, not because she feels she has to. Non-verbal communication matters too. While words are essential, non-verbal cues play a huge role in how your message is received. Your tone of voice, facial expressions, and body language should all communicate warmth, patience, and respect. For instance, maintain soft, steady eye contact instead of staring intensely. Keep your body relaxed rather than tense or aggressive. Touch her gently and only in ways she's shown she's comfortable with. Your non-verbal signals should reinforce your words, not contradict them. If you say, "I respect your boundaries," but your body language feels pushy, she won't believe you. Why communication strengthens the relationship? When you master clear, respectful communication, something amazing happens. You remove fear from the equation. She no longer has to wonder about your intentions, and you no longer have to guess about her feelings. This mutual understanding creates emotional safety, which is the foundation of true intimacy. Over time, she will associate your presence with comfort and trust rather than anxiety or pressure. And when a woman feels that safe and secure, intimacy stops feeling like a negotiation or a hurdle to overcome. It becomes a natural, beautiful expression of love and connection, initiated by both partners in harmony. One of the most important yet often overlooked parts of asking a woman for intimacy without pressure is learning how to read her signals and respect her boundaries. While clear verbal communication is vital, women don't always express how they feel through words alone. Many times, her comfort or discomfort will be revealed through her body language, tone, and overall energy. If you fail to recognize these signals, you might unintentionally cross a line, even if you didn't mean to. That's why understanding and respecting her boundaries is not just an act of love, it's an act of emotional intelligence and maturity. Why boundaries matter? Boundaries are like invisible lines that define where one person ends and another begins. They represent her emotional needs, personal values, and comfort levels. When a woman sets a boundary, she's not rejecting you. She's simply protecting her sense of safety and autonomy. Unfortunately, many men take boundaries personally. They see them as obstacles or challenges to overcome. This mindset creates tension and mistrust. The truth is, boundaries are healthy and necessary for intimacy to thrive. When a woman sees that you respect her limits, she feels safe. That safety eventually turns into trust, and trust is what allows intimacy to grow naturally. On the other hand, if she senses that you disregard her boundaries or try to push past them, she'll start to feel unsafe around you. Even subtle pressure can damage her willingness to open up, both emotionally and physically. Reading her non-verbal signals, women often communicate their feelings without saying a word. This is why you must become skilled at reading non-verbal cues, such as body language and tone. Here are some signals to look out for. Signs she's comfortable and open. She leans toward you when you talk. Her body language is relaxed, shoulders down, breathing steady. She maintains warm, consistent eye contact. She smiles genuinely and frequently. She initiates touch, like lightly brushing your arm or holding your hand. Signs she's uncomfortable or hesitant. She leans away or keeps physical distance. Her arms are crossed or her body feels tense. She avoids or breaks eye contact often. She gives short, closed-off answers. She freezes or doesn't respond to your touch. When you notice these signals, don't ignore them. If she seems hesitant or uncomfortable, that's your cue to slow down, check in, and give her space. The worst thing you can do is keep pushing forward when her body language is telling you she's not ready. Creating an environment of choice. True intimacy can only happen when both people feel they have a real choice. This means she must feel free to say yes or no without fear of disappointing you or facing negative consequences. If she feels like her no will cause you to get angry, withdrawn, or upset, then her yes will never feel genuine. It will feel like compliance, not consent, and that destroys intimacy rather than building it. To create this environment of choice, pay attention to your reaction to her boundaries. When she says, "I'm not ready," or "I need more time," respond with grace and understanding. Say something like, "Thank you for telling me how you feel. I respect that completely. I care about you, and I want us to move at a pace that feels right for both of us." When she sees that you accept her boundary without resistance, she begins to trust you even more. Over time, that trust naturally leads to deeper emotional and physical intimacy. The balance between patience and initiative, respecting boundaries, doesn't mean you should become passive or never express your feelings. It's about balancing patience with initiative. For instance, if she's not ready for intimacy yet, you can still express affection in ways that don't cross her boundaries. This might include spending quality time together, engaging in deep, meaningful conversations, offering comforting physical gestures like holding hands or hugging, if she's comfortable with that. By doing this, you show her that you value connection over mere physical satisfaction. This reinforces the idea that you're a safe partner who respects her emotional needs. Why this builds attraction and trust, ironically, the more you respect her boundaries, the more attracted to you she will become. Why? Because most women have experienced some form of pressure in their lives, whether subtle or direct. When you come along and show patience, understanding, and self-control, you set yourself apart from everyone else. She begins to feel that you truly see her as a person, not just a means to satisfy your desires. And when a woman feels genuinely seen, she becomes more likely to open up and initiate intimacy on her own terms. This is how deep, lasting relationships are built, not through force or manipulation, but through mutual respect and freedom of choice. In summary of this section, learning to read her signals and respect her boundaries isn't just about avoiding mistakes. It's about creating a space where she feels completely safe. When a woman feels safe, she naturally becomes more affectionate, open, and intimate. The key is to stay present, observe carefully, and respond thoughtfully. In doing so, you communicate that you value her comfort and autonomy as much as your own desires. And that is the true foundation of intimacy without pressure. One of the most common mistakes men make when approaching intimacy is treating it like a goal to achieve rather than an experience to share. When you focus too much on performance, whether it's about how good you are, how often it happens, or whether you measure up or you create a pressure-filled environment that can damage the relationship. True intimacy is never about ticking boxes or proving yourself. It's about connection, presence, and shared vulnerability. When you shift your mindset away from performance and toward connection, you create an entirely different experience for both you and her. Intimacy stops feeling like a task or a challenge and begins to feel like a natural, fulfilling bond that grows stronger with time. This shift not only makes her more comfortable, but also allows you to feel more confident, calm, and connected. Why performance-based thinking creates pressure? Performance-based thinking usually comes from insecurity or societal conditioning. Men are often taught to view intimacy as a measure of their worth or masculinity. This creates unrealistic expectations like, if I don't perform well, she won't desire me. If we're not intimate often enough, it means something is wrong with the relationship. I need to make her happy every single time, or I've failed. These beliefs lead to anxiety and pressure, which are the exact opposite of what intimacy needs to flourish. When you're focused on performance, you're not truly present with her. Instead of enjoying the moment, you're caught in your head, worrying about whether you're doing enough or whether she's satisfied. Here's the truth. Most women care far more about how they feel emotionally and energetically than about technical perfection. She's not thinking about whether you're flawless. She's thinking about whether she feels loved, safe, and connected to you. If you're constantly trying to perform, you risk making the experience feel mechanical rather than meaningful. The power of connection-based intimacy is completely different. It's not about hitting milestones or living up to external expectations. It's about sharing a moment of authenticity and vulnerability with someone you deeply care about. When you focus on connection, you're tuned into her emotions and reactions. You move at a pace that feels natural for both of you. You care more about mutual enjoyment than about getting it right. You experience intimacy as a way to bond, not just to release physical tension. This approach removes pressure because there's nothing to prove. Instead of worrying about how you're being perceived, you're simply present and engaged with her. This allows her to relax, which deepens the experience for both of you. Practical ways to focus on connection. Making this shift requires intention and practice. Here are a few actionable steps to help you move from performance to connection. Slow down the pace. Many men rush intimacy because they fear losing the moment. Ironically, rushing often kills the mood. When you slow down, you show her that you're there to savor the experience, not just to reach a goal. This creates a sense of safety and builds anticipation. Be fully present. Presence means giving her your undivided attention. Put away distractions like your phone. Make eye contact. Listen to her words and her body language. When she feels that you're fully there with her, she naturally feels more connected and open. Prioritize emotional closeness. Physical intimacy is most meaningful when it's paired with emotional closeness. Simple acts like holding her after an intimate moment, expressing appreciation for her, or having a heartfelt conversation can make her feel cherished and valued. Ask, don't assume connection thrives on communication. Instead of guessing what she wants or likes, simply ask her, do you like this? Would you like me to slow down? Is there anything you'd like to try? These questions show that you care about her experience and comfort. Celebrate small moments of affection. Connection doesn't just happen in the bedroom. Holding her hand, giving her a genuine compliment, or laughing together over something silly all build intimacy in subtle but powerful ways. The freedom of letting go of performance. When you stop obsessing over performance, you free yourself from constant self-judgment. You no longer have to wonder, am I good enough? Or is she comparing me to someone else? Instead, you embrace the experience for what it is. Unique moment between two people who care about each other. Ironically, when you let go of performance anxiety, you actually become better at intimacy. Why? Because you're relaxed, confident, and in tune with her needs. She can feel that energy, and it allows her to relax as well. This mutual relaxation creates a feedback loop of trust and pleasure. She enjoys herself more, which makes you feel more confident, which in turn deepens the connection even further. Why women respond to connection over performance? Most women are deeply intuitive. They can sense whether you're approaching intimacy with genuine love or with selfish motives. When she feels like you're performing for your ego or for external validation, it creates distance. But when she senses that you're present and emotionally connected, she feels safe and valued. This safety and value make her want to be more open with you, not just physically, but emotionally as well. In other words, when you focus on connection, you don't just improve intimacy, you strengthen the entire relationship. By shifting from performance to connection, you create an experience where both of you feel free, loved, and deeply understood. Intimacy becomes less about doing it right, and more about being together in the moment, which is ultimately what she desires most. When the time comes to ask a woman for intimacy, the moment can feel incredibly delicate. For many men, this is where nerves take over: fear of rejection, fear of saying the wrong thing, or fear of ruining the connection they've built. That fear can lead to hesitation, miscommunication, or in some cases, pressure. But if you want to create an experience where intimacy feels natural, mutual, and loving, you must ask without fear and accept without resistance. This approach is not about pretending you don't care about the outcome. It's about being secure enough within yourself that her answer, whether it's yes or no, doesn't define your worth. When you release fear and resistance, you show her a level of maturity and respect that makes her feel safe and valued. And safety is the foundation upon which true intimacy is built. Why fear sabotages intimacy? Fear of rejection is one of the most powerful emotions that can sabotage a relationship. When you're afraid, you tend to do one of two things. You avoid asking altogether, staying silent and hoping she will somehow make the first move. You ask in a way that comes across as anxious, needy, or even pushy, which makes her feel uncomfortable. Both approaches create problems. Silence breeds confusion. She might think you're not interested, or she might sense tension and uncertainty in you, which makes her pull away. On the other hand, asking from a place of fear can feel manipulative, even if you don't intend it to. Fear carries an energy that women can feel immediately. It creates pressure. When you're afraid, you're essentially saying, I need you to say yes to make me feel okay about myself. This places an unfair emotional burden on her. Instead of feeling free to respond authentically, she feels like she has to manage your emotions, and that kills the natural flow of intimacy. The solution: release fear by detaching from the outcome. Whether she says yes or no, you remain calm, centered, and confident in who you are. This shows her that you value her decision and her comfort just as much as your desire. How to ask without fear? Asking without fear doesn't mean being cold or indifferent. It means being open, direct, and vulnerable while still holding your sense of self-worth. Here's how to approach it. Be honest and clear. Speak your desire in a straightforward and respectful way. I really feel close to you, and I'd love to share a more intimate moment with you, but only if you feel the same. I want us to take this step, but I also want you to feel completely comfortable. This kind of honesty shows maturity. It tells her that you're confident enough to express your feelings without playing games. Stay calm in your delivery. Your tone matters just as much as your words. Speak slowly, maintain gentle eye contact, and keep your body language relaxed. If you seem tense or agitated, it will make her feel uneasy. Give her space to respond after you ask. Pause. Let her think. Let her process. Don't rush to fill the silence or try to convince her. This gives her the freedom to respond authentically without feeling pressured. Accepting her answer gracefully. Here's where many men struggle. It's easy to ask, but what happens when she says no? If you react with anger, disappointment, or withdrawal, you send her a very clear message. My love and affection for you are conditional. This makes her feel unsafe, and she may never want to open up to you again. Accepting her answer gracefully is one of the most powerful demonstrations of respect you can give. It communicates that you value her comfort more than your own agenda. You might say, thank you for telling me how you feel. I appreciate your honesty. I completely respect that. I care about you, and I want us to move at a pace that feels right. When she sees that you can accept her no without resistance, it builds deep trust. Over time, this trust can transform into a yes, not because she felt forced, but because she felt free and safe. Why acceptance deepens intimacy? Ironically, the very act of accepting her no without resistance often brings her closer to you. When she realizes you're not going to punish her for setting boundaries, she feels more secure. This security encourages her to open up emotionally and eventually physically. On the other hand, if you resist her answer through arguments, sulking, or guilt trips. She'll feel like intimacy with you always comes with strings attached. Even if she agrees in the moment, it will not be true intimacy. It will be compliance born out of fear. True intimacy can only exist in freedom. When she says yes because she genuinely wants to, not because she feels obligated, the experience becomes deeply fulfilling for both of you. The confidence that comes from detachment, when you're able to ask without fear and accept without resistance, you send a powerful message. I desire you, but I don't need to control you. This kind of energy is incredibly attractive to women. It shows that you are emotionally secure, self-sufficient, and deeply respectful of her autonomy. Ironically, the less you cling to the outcome, the more likely she is to want to say yes. Why? Because there's no pressure. She feels safe to explore her feelings and desires at her own pace, knowing you'll be there with patience and understanding, the freedom for both partners. This approach doesn't just free her, it also frees you. When you stop attaching your worth to whether she agrees or not, you relieve yourself of unnecessary anxiety. You no longer fear rejection because you understand that her answer is about her, not about you. This emotional freedom allows you to stay calm, confident, and present. And when you are present, she feels truly seen and respected. That's when intimacy stops being a negotiation and becomes a natural, beautiful exchange of love and trust. By asking without fear and accepting without resistance, you create a dynamic where intimacy can flourish. You show her that you're not trying to control her, only to connect with her. And in that safe, pressure-free space, desire grows naturally, stronger and deeper than it ever could under force or fear.